Welcome to this video showing you how to run your monthly payroll. The easiest way to get to the data screens you need is to click on this little icon, the pound sign here, and then you'll see your employees across the top with various tabs underneath. Now if we look at S. Anderson, we can see he's got basic pay, some additions and deductions. Basic pay is added from this very front screen. If an employee has left during the year, you won't be able to change anything. So if we look at W. McGonigal, he left in week 4, so you'll see everything. Actually, he left in week 21, he joined in week 4. So nothing before week 4 can be touched and nothing after week 21 can be touched, it's greyed out. So you won't be able to change anything for employees that have left. But if we go back to S. Anderson, he's on £2,000 basic pay. Let's assume in August he had a change of tax code. We would double click on that tax code number and let's assume it was to 1065L. Tick if HMRC have told you that it's a week 1 month 1 code and tick to say apply this code to the rest of the year. Let's also assume he had a pay rise from £2,000 to £2,100, so we would just literally type in £2,100 and we'd use this icon here to copy this cell to all below it. So now from August he's on £2,100. Going across the tabs, we've got hourly, and you can set up various hourly rates. So you could have standard overtime, you could have overtime, double overtime, time and a half. To set these up, you click on the spanner icon and there you have standard. You can overtype what's written in there and you can set up new ones as you need. And if you're running a pension system scheme, you need to decide whether it's pensionable or not. If they've got hourly pay, it's exactly the same as it is to change the basic. So you would just put their rate in, say £12 an hour, and each month you'd put their hours if they're different. And if they're the same going through the year, you would just copy it down using this icon up here. Additions, again, these are user defined if you click on the spanner. So if you want to pay a bonus once a year, Christmas bonus or a summer bonus, you would use this screen here and you can set up as many as you like, and most of your additions will be taxable and nickable, and you also need to decide if they're pensionable. Deductions, you've got pension contributions, that comes from this tab here. If you're running a pension scheme, you would put this information in and the system will calculate it for you. You probably won't need to use that screen at this stage, and if you do, you'll want to give us a call to let us help you. Going back to deductions, we've got student loan repayments. If you take on an employee who's got student loan repayments, you should normally set them up and tick the box to say student loan repayments. If they start paying during the year or during the course of working with you, you simply click on the icon and you put the start date and end date for that employee. Attachments, these are normally court orders, etc. Again, you'd set them up here. It would be very unusual for you to have attachments, and if you do, give us a call. Then we've got payroll giving. If you have any employees who give to charities during the month, you'll want to put the payroll giving in there. If you've overpaid them in the prior month, you put the gross in this column to amend it in the current month. Childcare if you're paying it, and you can also set up any deductions that you want. And again, you must say if they're taxable, nickable or pensionable. On the whole, we wouldn't be expecting you to use these screens, and if you do, you need to give us a call. The other great thing with Moneysoft is if you're in the screen, so if you're looking at attachments and if you go to help, general help, it will take you to the relevant screen. So there's a help screen on attachments. If we go back to deductions, if we click on pension contributions, if we go to help, general help, it takes us to pension contributions. You've also got a search key in the help screen. Most of these other tabs you won't use. SSP, statutory sick pay, and SMP, statutory maternity pay, we'll cover in a separate video. The other one that you may use is subs. If you give an advance to your employee, so if they're, for instance, short of money 1 month and you decide that you'll make them an advance of £500 in April, or 500. This is a nice way of keeping tabs on how much is owed, so they owe you 500, and then say you take the money back in July. it will actually take that off their pay, so you know to only give them net pay this month of 1387 because it's taken the amount repaid off of the gross that you give them. Now down the bottom here it tells you what their basic pay is, what their hourly pay is. This is per employee, so we're looking at S. Anderson here. It tells you the total pay, income tax, national insurance, and how much net pay they'll have every month. You can click for an explanation if you want to see how their tax is calculated or how their NIC is calculated. You can also then, once you're happy with the pay that you've got for everybody, you can run the pay slips by clicking on this icon here. You can select everybody and then you can look down the pay slips. There are other various reports which are quite useful. Under pay, you've got employer summary for current period. So this is telling you that for July and also week 17, because we've got some weekly paid employees here. This is on the subs and loans report, but if we go up here, we've got various other reports. We've got basic, so it tells us how much they've been paid, how much tax deducted, how much employer's NIC, and employer's NIC is payable. And down the bottom here, you've got your employer totals as well for that period. You've also got medium extended if you want to see if it's slightly more details, if you want to see their hourly pay, etc. And you can see just the additions, you can see just the deductions, you can see the hours worked, you can see the hourly pay. So there's some nice reports there to double check to make sure that everything is okay. Once you're happy with the pay that you've put in, you then need to file the RTI return. Just before filing the RTI return, we would recommend that you go to Tools, download PAYE notices, and just check for new notices. If you're online, then this should tell you if there's been a tax code change or any other changes which you need to implement. You check for new notices, then you can decide whether to apply or to ignore. And here you would click on there are RTI returns to be filed. Because we're in the sample payroll file, no RTIs have been filed, but normally you would see that this says view, not view file, because you'll have filed it. But when you're on the week that you're filing for, you'd click on the view file. This is at the moment giving us a message saying there's an earlier return that should be submitted because it's the sample file and we haven't submitted any. You shouldn't get this. If you get this, give us a call because it means you've probably got a problem. Click on yes, and it tells you when the return is due. That's okay. And then here you would just double check again, make sure that you're happy with the information, and you'd click here to file this return online and then just follow the online instructions. With the pay slips, rather than printing the pay slips, you can, if you want, email them to your employees. If you want to email them to your employees, then you would click on this little icon here to email. We haven't got it set up within the sample pay data, but we'll show you how to do that. And you would just say email to each employee. If you're going to do that, obviously in the employee details, you'd want to have their email address. And you would also then have to set up email here, email setup tools, email setup. You'd have to put your information in, whether it's user defined or you were using Yahoo, etc. The host, the port, username, fill in all these details, and then you can test it as well to make sure it works. And you'd also then need to set up an email template. So you'd click on edit email templates and you'd set up an email similar to this, saying that your payslip is attached and perhaps suggesting that they might like to check their tax coding just in case something's gone wrong and you haven't picked up any change in the tax coding. And that way then, as I say, you can email payslips to employees, which is slightly easier and faster than printing them off. Another useful report to run when you're running your payroll is under Pay, Tax and NIC Actually Paid. And you can click on the I against any of these items and see how it's made up, how the amount PAYE and NI is made up. And what we recommend is that as and when you pay it, you put the amount actually paid in here. In theory, it should be exactly the same as the amount due for period, which is why you can tick the box, pay the total due. But if you've paid a different amount, type that in here and the system will add it to the brought forward so that you know you've got more to pay the following month. If you're paying monthly, obviously this will show the months down here. If you're paying quarterly, it will show the quarters. And that's it for running your payroll.